Hey everybody, Stinger here with a special message, a special thank you to the best Italian wrestling podcast. That's right, the best Italian wrestling podcast called Pro Wrestling Culture. Specifically, thank you to Aldo Fiadoni. All right, Aldo, awesome job, man. I guess you and I met in New York in 2019. And there were some tears shed there. Man, I love that. I love that. You know what? Real men can cry, bro. Let me tell you something. Man, means a lot that you watch. Means a lot that this podcast is happening, and the pro wrestling culture appreciates Aldo Fiadoni. So be watching there. It's going to be showtime, and tune in to the podcast, Pro Wrestling Culture, because it's always showtime there from the Stinger.
Questo programma non è soggetto a infezioni. It's showtime.
And here with me, the special guest of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, Bullit. Hi, Bullit.
Hi, how you doing?
Very good, and you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you.
Thank you very much for being here on PWC. So, man, I want to start this interview with my first question. Tell us anything about your beginnings, and most importantly, who is the first inspiration for your career?
I started getting into wrestling to do it in 2009, but I didn't take it very seriously for a very long time. I mean, I did take it seriously somewhat, but I didn't try hard enough until about 2017, 2018 is when I really started trying, and when I really started getting myself out there to try and sort of make waves, I guess. And in between that time, I also took a good 3.5 years out. My first inspiration, I didn't really have an inspiration for wanting to do it, but my inspiration for the love of it was classically just all the names you'd expect, like Hogan, Steve Austin, Rock, Bret Hart. But who I gravitate towards for you know, trying to learn how to be a better wrestler has definitely changed. You know, I was a mark when I was a kid, so I loved Steve Austin and Rock, and I hated Triple H. Whereas now that I'm older, I do see all of the great things about people like Austin and Rock. But I really look at people like Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Undertaker and Ricky Steamboat and people like that as the people who I draw from. And then it's only been in the last few years that I've started taking more notice of British wrestlers from the past. So, you know, all the names that you normally hear of, like Terry Rudge and Johnny Kidd and Johnny Saint. And then the guys that are still doing it, like Doug Williams and James Mason. I was a fan of Doug back in 2009. But yeah, I've got to know Doug a lot since then. So
probably you mentioned the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling with
Sure.
Rock, Austin. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But okay, we're talking about inspiration, but I want to talk about you and
Mm.
your career. So I want to talk about one of your matches in Progress Wrestling during chapter 148 against Tom Hawkins, alias Cara Noir. What do you think about this character, his status in the company, and this match with a big man like you against an icon for Progress Wrestling like him?
Mm. I mean, that was a real privilege. No better way to sort of debut. Like, just everything that's happened for me so far at Progress has just been just incredible, right? So to debut out of the shadows, because I was there pretending to work as a crew member, but I was just always working for Spike Trevay, and so to debut and align with him in the main event in a big death match against Drew Parker, who he's got loads of history with. So that was a good story to immediately just interrupt and be a part of. And then, you know, Progress have done some really great matches over the years, and Progress have had some really over wrestlers and really interesting wrestlers over the years. But I probably am being very biased, but it's got very little to do with me and everything to do with Spike and Cara, that I don't think Progress have ever told a story like the one they've just finished telling between Cara Noir and Spike Trevay. And to be one of the people that was right in the middle of that, so that, you know, I debut and I align myself with Spike Trevay, who's already done things to Cara Noir, turned him into Tom Dawkins, and then I get to get my teeth into that storyline and be right there front and center with Spike for all of the matches around that storyline and during that storyline, as well as be a big part of it by having my debut match be against, like you said, he's an icon of Progress Wrestling. You know, I call him Prince Progress because
In fact,
Cara to me is Prince Progress.
in fact, it is this rivalry between Cara and Spike probably is the best feud in Progress history after
I agree.
Will Ospreay against Will Ospreay versus Jimmy Havoc in 2015.
Right.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I saw in your Instagram profile you are a record maker for EWE company. You are the
Oh, sure. Yeah.
EWE heavyweight champion for over 1,000 days. So
So yeah.
how are you proud of that?
Say again.
You can you listen me?
I just didn't hear the full question because you cut out a little bit. What?
Okay, okay. I saw in your Instagram profile you are a record maker for the
Mm,
EWE, and I saw you are a champion for over 1,000 days.
hmm
So how are you proud of that?
Oh, extremely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really want the fact that all that time, um, a chunk of it is to do with the COVID year as well. You know, I won that title a good year before we went into lockdown, and defended it, and then we had the lockdown, um, years kind of swallow up some time. But then since we've come back from lockdown, the matches I've had, um, against the people that I've had them against have been really something really to be proud of. James Mason, Doug Williams, Simon Miller, Danny Duggan, you know, and then also like some lesser known talent, um, at EWE that, you know, won't necessarily be as well known as the people I've just listed off there. But the matches I had with them, I'm really proud of as well, because they were matches against guys that, you know, haven't really seen that limelight before, and then they also haven't really worked to match the style in which I am, in the style in which I work, which is sort of the the older British style of, you know, not planning every single moment that you have in the ring, but, you know, going out there and feeling it and reacting to what the crowd are reacting to as well. So, you know, if the crowd like to see that, you give them more of that as the babyface, you give them less of that as the heel, that sort of thing. And, you know, just taking these guys on these wild rides for them where they just would go out frightened because they don't get the chance to remember a match and go out and perform it. They have to be switched on and do it in the moment, listen, make changes, you know, think for themselves. But just how much more they enjoyed working like that, because I've been taught that now by so many different wrestlers like James Mason, like Doug Williams, like Danny Duggan, at EWE as well, but then also outside of EWE with the likes of Eddie Ryan and Joel Redman and Niwa. But yeah, it was a great run. I'm not the EWE champion anymore. I relinquished that belt. Well, I was beaten for it. I didn't relinquish it at all. I was beaten for it by Arcadius a few weeks ago, but I think the total number of days was like 1,220 or something like that. I think it was 1,220 days in total.
I saw something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think the thing I like about it as well is, you know, I do hope that EWE goes on to have more and more and more success. But also the more success it has and the longer it's around for, nobody is ever going to be champion for 1,220 days again. That's just not going to happen. I'll go back and beat them if they get close, but like no one's gonna have a run like that ever again. So it's cool because I was technically the first champion as well. I was the first champion for about 2.5 minutes, minute and a half, something like that. And then the match got restarted, and Eddie Ryan was crowned champion, and then he was champion for about 3 months, and then I beat him for the championship again and stayed champion until 2 weeks ago, and that was in 2018, I think.
So, but after this record, there are any other thing that are you proud of in your career in professional wrestling?
I'm proud of the school that I'm a part of now, because we've got a really good atmosphere there and really good work ethic, and it's a really good team as well. Everyone looks after each other, so I'm really proud of the school. I'm very proud of the fact that I picked the name Bullit because that's what my dad called me when I was a kid, and I've worn the sort of the gear and had the style that I've had since day one. I've always worn blue, and I've always been called Bullit, and nobody has ever tried to change that. And I haven't finished seeing where I can go in the business, and I've never had to change anything, you know, to make it work, or what calling myself something got me this far, so then I had to reinvent myself to make it this far, but then I could only get that far, so then I had to reinvent myself again. I've not had to do that. I've just been Bullit, slowly just making my way to where I am now. And like I said, I'm not even finished. So I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that, you know, all I had to do was pick a name from my childhood that worked as a wrestling name, has sentimental value to me, and then make that gimmick and that name mean something that nobody would ever think to change it or go, I like you, but I think you should be called this. You know, I'm really proud of that.
I think you proved it during one of the last chapter in progress with your promo in front of the all the fans, and I think that fans of progress are all of them are taken by your words, and probably I think you have all the skills to shine in this business. You are one of the most talented pro wrestling inside the UK scene. And what is your goal in this moment? Because you are a established part of Progress Wrestling, and in my opinion, Progress is the number one company in UK.
Okay. Well, thank you for all of that. That was really nice for you to say. So
It's real.
thank you. So realistically, right, I'm not known as being somebody who like doubts themselves. I'm, probably thought of as quite arrogant half the time, but I've left this really late. I'm 37. Do you know what I mean? I'm not 27. And so I didn't even think Progress was somewhere that I'd make it to. So realistically, now I've achieved more than I set for myself. So my goals now are to just enjoy it, and whatever happens, happens. I'm still driven to succeed, and I still want to work hard, and I still want to perform well, and I still want to try and make it as far as I can. But I'm not going to set myself any goals because I never really have. I've got this far without setting myself any, like I was at this terrible promotion in Bracknell, just a bunch of mates that all had fun together. That's where I spent the first, years of my life in wrestling, wasting my time there, not being brave enough to try. And then when I tried, I was like, I'm just going to try. I'm just going to see whether I am actually good enough to exist outside of this one tiny little bubble. And then that worked out for me, and it just grew and grew and grew. And in all honesty, it's grown so quickly, I've not had time to stop and go, right, what's the plan? I've not once have I had time to just go, right, what am I going to do now? What's next?
Okay.
I haven't. I just or where, or not even what do I want to do next? Just like, where am I going to go? I've had places that I've thought, oh, it'd be nice to wrestle there, and it'd be nice to wrestle there. But yeah, I've never had a plan in place. So everything has just been from one thing to the next, and so on.
Day by day.
Day by day, exactly. Day by day, show by show, match by match.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like I'm doing the same thing, wrestling in the same places, and I've essentially maybe plateaued. And then all of a sudden I'll go and wrestle on one show, and the next thing you know, that person speaks to that person, and I haven't got any goals. I'm just gonna ride it out because it's because I'm 37 as well. Now, again, not to make it sound like that means I don't care. If you were to take all of this away from me tomorrow, I'd be devastated. I'd be severely depressed if I wasn't wrestling in Progress anymore, wasn't wrestling all over the UK anymore, never got booked in Europe again. I've just recently gone over to Switzerland for Sirius, had a really great time. Definitely got the bug for that now. I want to do more European work. Not too much because I am really busy in the UK and I have a family, so I don't want to be away that much more than I am now. But I do have a taste for it. Like, I'll make time for Europe and European bookings. But again, not with any goals. Not like I'm going to make sure that I wrestle in that country, and that country before the end of the year. I just, if people want to use me, I'm here. Get in touch, because that's how I've done it so far, and it's worked.
Nice answer. So when we say here in Italy, don't expect anything, and you'll never be disappointed.
Sure. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it is like that.
About the England and European scenario in pro wrestling, the fans are all angry fans, and probably they prove it during the ticket sale of WWE Clash at the Castle last year, in this year during WWE Money in the Bank, and most importantly for All Elite Wrestling All in Wembley Stadium in August. So what do you think about this new shine for professional wrestling in United Kingdom and Europe in general?
I don't overthink it. I just don't overthink it. It's kind of the same thing. Don't expect anything and you won't be disappointed. I don't see the point in sort of thinking this could be like a massive boom for us. This could bring something back, because if we don't get something out of it, I'm going to be disappointed. I also don't look at it in a negative way either. I don't look at it and go, well, they're just going to find that they can make loads of business doing that. So all they're going to do is they're going to come over to the UK more often, and then people aren't going to come and see local indie British wrestling. They're just going to wait until AEW's back in town, or they're going to wait until WWE's back in town. I don't see either happening, to be honest. I think that, you know, what one affects the other, but it works both ways, you know. AEW and WWE, well, I mean, WWE would, you know, but I think if there wasn't a British scene like there is, AEW would spend all their money coming over to England, and they do okay. They do okay. Whereas I think the fact that they've got such a huge British scene to come into, that's what helps them essentially sell out Wembley. Sell out Wembley the first time you come to England. That's incredible, right? I think they have the British independent scene to thank, because if we didn't continue to have British wrestling fans over here, because there was nothing for them to do but watch TV and hope that WWE come over twice a year, I don't think AEW would have done anything, because their TV numbers, I don't mean to just like sort of chat shit about AEW, but their TV numbers are not very good, and they're nowhere near what WWE's are, right? And that is in the US and in Europe, right? So if you were to be relying on the people that watch AEW on ITV in this country, on Channel 3, if you were to count on them to sell out Wembley, you wouldn't come close. You wouldn't get anywhere near it. But because there's such a great scene in Britain, and so many of the talent that's in AEW are British for a start, or they're actually guys that used to wrestle at Progress before they got signed to AEW. They used to wrestle at Rev Pro before they got signed to AEW. So thanks to that British scene, people are interested, and people want to go and see those wrestlers that they used to watch 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they haven't been able to see since because they went to AEW, and they want to go and see them come back. You know, Norwich is going to be empty in August. There's not going to be anyone there because they're all going to be at Wembley watching Soraya come back.
Yeah, sure. And I think I think one of the first guy is Finn Balor, no?
Sure.
Alice Prince David. During his time in Rev Pro, in Progress, he establishes himself during that time, and now he's an icon, one of the biggest in WWE. And many people of the European fans want to show in WWE Money in the Bank, for example, because they want to see Finn Balor.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they want to see Finn Balor. They want to see Walter, or whatever it's called now. They want to see Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. You know, they're going to want to see. They're going to want to see. Forgive me, boys, if you ever see this, because I don't know what your names are in WWE, but Lewis Howley and Sam Stoker. So Pretty Deadly. They're called like
Pretty Deadly.
Kit and Elton or something now.
Yes.
But like so,
JD McDonagh. I am a huge fan of Jordan Devlin.
Yeah, all those boys, like they were, and that's right. They were all in Progress, ICW, OTT, Rev Pro. They were all there. Then they went to NXT UK, or they went straight to the main roster. If you're a particular something like a Finn Balor, you know, they've all made that trip, and they've made their way through. And I'm so happy for all of them, because they're just, you know, the only two that I knew personally was Pretty Deadly, and it's just, it warms my heart to see what they're doing, and not just that they're doing it, but how much fun they're having doing it as well. It's fantastic.
The most important thing about these two shows in UK, in London, is they can create a real wrestling festival, like a WrestleCon. Because I think Progress will have a show the day before All In. So this is a good thing for all the UK fans and the European fans for British wrestling. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's no different to when WrestleMania's on in one of the states in America. It does amazing revenue for that city, and all of the independents in America flock to the city that WrestleMania is in to stick a show on earlier in the week, because they hope that they'll do well, because people are going to be over there for WWE, for WrestleMania. They're not going to really be doing anything on the Thursday before WrestleMania, so they'll go and see an indie show.
Bullit, thank you very much for your time,
No
for
problem.
this conversation. Absolutely, I'm very proud of it. And yes, I want to wish you the best for your career. And
Thank you.
why not? I will be there in progress, just like a fan, obviously. And I think there are many reasons to see your profile, your shine in Progress Wrestling one day. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Speak to you soon.